Hi everyone, Quiveen here from the comfort of my kitchen. In today's video, we are going to yet again look into the future to look at some interesting upcoming events, but we are going to start by looking just a little further ahead this year. We will just be looking forward to the 19th. Hopefully, if I can get this to move around, we will just be looking forward to the 19th of September. So we're going to go forward to the appropriate date and we're going to have a look around. So some of you who are familiar with this channel, you may know that I am occasionally told of certain dates to look at, certain events that are happening in the sky, but I don't know what they are before I go and take a look. So I am going to have to take a look around and see what interesting event this is. And if you have any interesting events that you are interested in seeing, then feel free to leave a comment here or on my website, queeveenscontent.ie, to suggest things like this, because we've got the moon here in between Jupiter and Venus. We've got the moon passing really close to Venus here. So this is, oh, and there's the star Regulus. So this is a really nice conjunction and a pretty close conjunction. The moon and Venus are getting pretty close together here. Of course, I normally view these things from Ireland, but an occultation of Venus is absolutely worth traveling a little bit. And of course, we won't have to travel too far, just to a slightly different location on the Earth. So we wanted to be dark later. We wanted to stay dark until the moon occults Venus, which means we're going to have to move further west away from Ireland. Of course, as Venus and the moon here move west across the sky, they're getting closer together, but the sun is following right behind them. So we're going to quickly hop to a slightly better location, but just before we do, Jupiter is there as well. So even though this, the 19th, was the date that I was told to look at, and I was told to look for a triple conjunction, and we can see Venus moving past Regulus there over the course of these dates, so it'll be nice to see how close they get together when the occultation occurs. We can see the moon does end up much higher away from Jupiter. Let's very quickly pull back and see how close the moon goes to Saturn. Not too close at all. Of course, the planets are following our ecliptic roughly, while the moon is more following our equator. So very often the moon won't occult the planets. But here it is going to be occulting Venus, so we should get moving. It looks like we're not going to have to change our latitude, just our longitude. I almost always say longitude, but there's no D in that word, so I really maybe shouldn't. We're getting closer. We're going to have to go a little bit further. We probably could, if we were in the countryside, wait a little bit longer, but of course we're not on dry land here, so no one would see it anyway. Getting very close here in northern Canada. Let's just zoom in here. Of course, it's still just a hair apart. So we'll get further up here, still in northern Canada, but a little bit closer to the center of the landmass. There, the moon and Venus are still under the horizon, and they should be occulting just as the moon is rising. Oh, so from this position, it seems like we're still missing the occultation. And I must have accidentally, I have accidentally moved further north on the planet. I was just trying to come across, but I have moved a few degrees further north. So let's come a few degrees further south and see if that helps. Of course, I may not be able to cause this occultation to line up. This may be the kind of thing that's just not easily visible. But I feel like it should be. I really do feel like I should be able to make this line up. I should be able to force this occultation to occur. Of course, we're getting really close here. This may in fact look better than an occultation because we can see all three of these things so close together. But it is a little bit, well, it is a little bit frustrating. But not an incredible amount frustrating that this occultation is happening while the moon is above the horizon, or while the sun is above the horizon for us here in Ireland. There is a reasonable distance between the moon and Venus when this occultation occurs and the sun. So with the right kind of protective equipment on your telescope, you might be able to enjoy this even from Ireland if you were correctly armed, correctly prepared, correctly equipped with a telescope to see this occultation happening during the day. Now, speaking of this occultation, I would like to see things are going to move if the atmosphere gets taken away a little, not too much. I would like to see how close Venus and Regulus get to each other as well. Not particularly close. So we can see there that Venus was moving, but not much closer to Regulus. It seems like that, the moment of occultation, is about the closest they're going to get. But that view is going to look particularly nice from northern Canada. It looks like that's where Venus and the moon are going to look their closest, even though they don't quite look like they're occulting. Then again, I was told to look ahead to a nice triple conjunction, and it looks like that's it. I wasn't told to look ahead to an occultation, so not getting to see an occultation isn't the greatest surprise. They are a rare event. So this is, of course, happening this year. I'm going to be able to revisit this in just a few months' time. Most of the future events that we look forward to on this channel, they're significantly further away. Not always astronomical timescales, but looking forward to 2060 to see Halley's Comet, which is something we're going to do again soon, although I have previously done it on the channel if you'd like to go back and take a look. Of course, that's looking decades into the future. We're going to look decades into the future again for this next event. So we're going forward to the 24th of July. So let's get the list back to this month, next month, and then up to the 24th. And I know that I'm supposed to be looking in the constellation of Leo, but we are going a couple of decades into the future, up to 2037. And I know that I need to look in the constellation of Leo, given that we're looking at the same month, or nearly the same month. No. Next month, we've already looked at this sky recently when we've been looking forward. So I know that Leo was setting almost with the sun. There's Sagittarius, so maybe Leo is still up at sunset, but there is a chance. Yeah, it's pretty much setting with the sun. There is Leo. So here we are looking at 24th of July, 2027, and I was told to look in the constellation of Leo. So to make this easier on myself, we're going to get rid of the ground, okay, and I can see why, although this would be incredibly hard to see from anywhere that's not the equator. But this is a fantastic group of objects all together in the sky. We can see Venus, Saturn, Regulus, and Mercury all super close together. And as we saw in a pretty recent video where we looked just a little into the future, Mercury moves quite quickly. So we can see Mercury, Saturn. I do apologize for the wiggling side to side, but of course things are rising and setting as we move through time here. It looks like I moved a couple of days there. We can see them shuffling around, but what we're not seeing is any occultation. Of course, I'd love to see an occultation. They're on my mind now. But there they are, all together, right above the sunset. And in fairness, that's too close. That's far too close for us to see them here in Ireland. Although I will, if I have a second at the end, I will double check. But we'll go down to the equator, pretty much the equator. We'll get back on the atmosphere and we'll see if we can see them rising up. We can. So very similar, very much in the same vein as the first one that we took a look at. Venus and Regulus having their close conjunction along with the moon. Here we've got Venus, Saturn, Regulus, and Mercury all really incredibly close together. And this is, from the equator, a view from the city. So Mercury is a nice distance from the sun here. Of course, we can double check in 2037 how close to Mercury's greatest eastern elongation this is. We won't do that for now. What we will do is we'll go back to Ireland, and to give ourselves a fighting chance, we're going to get rid of the trees and buildings that could get in the way right off the bat. Just because these things, if they are going to be visible from here in Ireland, they're only going to be visible when they're very close to the horizon. But there's Venus, and I know the other planets aren't too far away. Oh, there's Saturn, but we're not seeing Mercury, let alone Regulus. If we zoomed in a little bit there, but presumably that is Regulus, although it's not getting highlighted. Yeah, that is Regulus, which means Mercury is going to be out of view for us. Just about, yeah. Unless you have some sort of telescope, and again, using your telescope with this much light in the sky, it's not the safest thing to do. It looks like this one we may have to take a trip closer to the equator in 2037 if we want to see it. But we do have Saturn and Venus there nice and close together. They also, well, we won't find out if they occult this time. We'll wait until we get a little bit closer, or if we look forward to a similar event again, because I would end up clicking all around the world to see if they overlap. Of course, an occultation of Venus and Saturn would be really nice. So let's just remove the ground in the atmosphere and take a closer look. While we're here, while we're looking at these objects, just to see if they get close enough for, oh, pretty much. Very, very close there. And we're seeing this is on the 22nd. Oh, that looks incredible. Venus is at least behind Saturn's moons. So let's see if we can get them into a position where they look like that and they're above the horizon. Although I have an odd feeling that is almost exactly at the opposite side to the Earth. So for them to be this close together, I don't know if we're going to be able to catch it from here in Ireland. Yeah, there we go. 11 o'clock in the morning. They'd be on the wrong side of the planet. Yeah, you definitely have to be somewhere else. But, you know, for somewhere else, that's going to be a really nice occultation as well. So I hope you get to see some of these things. I hope you get to see the upcoming occultation in September this year. Of course, we'll review that this year a little bit later. I hope you get to see the triple or quadruple conjunction of Venus, Saturn, Mercury and Regulus just off screen there, or this, you know, maybe we'll take another look at this in the future, this close conjunction between Venus and Saturn's system of moons. But I hope you get to see those things. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please do press the like button so that I and everyone knows that you enjoyed it. You can also subscribe to this YouTube channel if you like this kind of content, and if you'd like to read some of this information, you can check out my website, queevinscontent.ie. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you back here next time.